Fresh hour of CBS Sports HQ, Oregon and Iowa. Here's how it finished. Less than 5 minutes to play on 4th and 3. Mark Gronowski to Reese Vanderzee to pick up the first down. Then on 4th and goal, Gronowski in for the touchdown to give the Hawkeyes the lead. They go for 2 here, right? To give them a 3-point lead, and they fail. So Oregon gets the ball back, and look at this absolute dime from Dante Moore to Malik Benson to extend the drive, and then it's Atticus Sappington with the game-winning field goal, and Oregon survives 18-16 on the road in Iowa City and make that 11 straight wins on the road for the Ducks, the longest active streak in FBS. What an absolute game that was entertaining in the final minutes. Look, this was a rock fight for most of it. The final 2 drives is why we love sports, why we love college football. Both quarterbacks leading their teams on scoring drives, and in the end, it is Oregon who survives 18-16. Quack, quack. This Big Ten on CBS postgame report is presented by Belfour Property Restoration, here with national champ Cardale Jones and CBS Sports college football insider Richard Johnson. Cardale, you want to talk about 2 quarterbacks stepping up late in the game, Dante Moore, Mark Gronowski. First, I want to start with Mark Gronowski here. That play on 4th and 3 to find Reese Vanderzee to extend the drive. That was a heck of a throw, and that was a heck of a drive to score the touchdown. I
mean, 97 yards, game-winning drive, a chance to put your team on your back in a game in an environment where it was ugly all game until the last 2 drives of the game. I mean, if you'd have told me this game would have ended any differently with a low-scoring game, Iowa type of football game in that type of weather, Iowa is just they are who we thought they are. A tough, hard-nosed team that ultimately want to try to pound you and take you to the deep water, like one of my great sayings Richard was saying here. And this is just unfortunate for Iowa to come up short, but man, you got to give credit where credit is due. Oregon did a great job of fighting back, especially on that last drive.
That was incredible by Mark Gronowski, but Dante Moore, Richard, I mean, that throw to Malik Benson, that was, as Brad Nessler said, that wasn't a window, that was a portal. That was like, we're talking about the size of the foot.
That's not even a portal.
Yeah,
That's
that
a keyhole that he drilled in. Cardale will tell you how impressive that was. Man. This was a tremendous culture victory for Oregon. You go on the road, hostile environment, awful weather. You don't have your starting right tackle. You don't have Decorian Moore, one of your best wide receivers. You have so much adversity coming into this game. You don't have Kenyon Sadiq either in this game. And you come into this spot where you know, as Cardale just said, I was going to try to drag you into deep water. Oregon had 9 drives in this game. That's not high flying. That's economical is probably the kind way to say it. You knew that Iowa was going to take you into deep water. You knew that Iowa was going to be physical, that they were going to try to bludgeon you. And it's funny. Oregon did some of those small third-phase edgewise things better than Iowa did in this game, right?
Yeah, they beat Iowa at Iowa's game. I think that was the most impressive part of this game.
Iowa has the errant snap on the first punt. Then they have the one that ends up being a safety. And by the way, Oregon's able to steal those 2 points right there so that they're kicking for the win at the end and not just the tie to send it to overtime, given the math of the game. So, yes, Iowa wanted to drag this game and make it on their terms, and Oregon said no. Walk into your trap, take over your trap, did the Ducks today.
I like that. I absolutely love that. Look, Cardale, that throw was, I want to show that again because that throw to Malik Benson, again, they are down. They're top 3 pass catchers. You have the transfer from Florida State, Malik Benson, who makes the grab. That ball in that window, that is a play you see on Sundays.
Yeah, this is the type of game and this is the type of plays like that get me extremely excited for college football outside of all the other antics that we see all week, each and every game, especially in conferences like the Big Ten and the SEC. But I don't think Dante Moore could have walked over there and handed him that ball in a better place. You're talking about a place where that ball could not have been outside of right here, dropping it right over the defensive back's shoulder. He didn't even have time to react to that pass. This was insane. This was the type of things that we love from Dante Moore. And Oregon went into this game short-ended, and especially on the offensive side of the ball. For them to come out here, go get this win in this type of environment, spectacular.
And look, this score line, this stat line, is not necessarily going to be put up in Dante Moore's Heisman, score line when we talk about it later this season. But that throw will.
That throw will.
I tell you right now,
for sure.
That throw, winning football right there, that's in his Heisman highlight reel. Absolutely.
We've seen several quarterbacks today have Heisman moments. We saw Fernando Mendoza have a Heisman moment, finding his receiver Omar Cooper Jr. in the back of the end zone.
And that's
we saw these Big Ten quarterbacks, at least in our window here, make big time throws, and we saw Mark Gronowski with his legs. That's 11 rushing. I mean, this kid is incredible. The quarterback play we've seen here as of late. I mean, you want to talk about some big time throws? That's what we've seen here.
And even Gronowski on the touchdown right there at the end there, you've got a QB spy for Oregon standing right in the middle of the field, respecting him because they're afraid that Gronowski is going to run in that formation because they come out empty in the shotgun, receivers all over the place. They think that, quite frankly, does Oregon, that Iowa is setting up for exactly what they got. But Gronowski there makes the play, and the QB spy, who is sitting there just as you see on your screen right there, literally blocks himself out of the play because he doesn't take the proper angle to go get Gronowski, and Gronowski is able to walk into the end zone untouched.
Incredible game at the end there. Mark Gronowski, most rushing touchdowns with 12 by a quarterback in a season in Iowa history, and tied for the most consecutive games, 9 with a rushing touchdown by a Big Ten quarterback in the last 30 seasons. This is what was for Iowa a tough game because they had to win this game and they did not. But man, what an effort as Oregon goes into Iowa City, able to get it done. And man, they are road tested. Again, this is 11 straight road games. Dan Lanning post game with our Jenny Dell. Let's take a listen.
Coach, you built this team to be Big Ten tough, to play in these type of conditions. How did that manifest into a victory today?
That looked like an old school Big Ten game today, didn't it? And I tell you what, our resilience, right, next guy up, the guy stepping up, unbelievable team we just competed with. They had no quit. Our team had no quit. It's kind of like who had it last is going to have a chance. We had a chance tonight.
What were you telling them in those final 2 minutes?
Oh, man, just breathe. Just breathe. Let's all soak it. Deep breath. In, out, right, let's reset and go make the next play. Some unbelievable plays by our guys.
How proud are you of this group?
No, I can't put it into words, man. I love coaching this group, man. It's not supposed to be easy, right? This is what football's about. Teaches you adversity. This is what life's like, man. And our guys got to experience that tonight.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you so much, Shane. Appreciate it.
Let's get back out to Iowa City. Welcome to the man who helped call this game, Gary Danielson. And Gary, look, this is why we love this sport. Because of games like these, a top 20 showdown in the elements, 2 quarterbacks leading their team. Your reaction and your takeaway from what ended up being a spectacular finish.
Yeah, we're also damn lucky to be able to do stuff like we do right here. You know, our CBS crew was looking forward to this game. We knew it would be a good football game. And then you're just watching guys compete. Again, from the first drive, the first punt that almost sailed over the punter's head. I mean, it was nail-biting the whole way, and it was physical play. And then both quarterbacks really didn't have their best stuff today. But when they needed it down the line, both of these 2 winners came through for their team. Tremendous plays all the way around. It's sports. You know, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. But, hey, Oregon stood in a physical football game. I think they earned this win big time.
You played the quarterback position so well at Purdue and into the NFL, Gary, and you know what you saw from Dante Moore was absolutely impressive on that final drive. And we heard Brad say that wasn't a window, that was a keyhole or a portal. I mean, that throw and that catch, that was incredible. Did you expect for him to make that throw and that catch in that moment?
You know, that's not a really hard pressure throw for a quarterback. You know the defender has his back turned, and you can kind of put it in a big throwing radius. But where he stuck it was, as Ness said, a keyhole, portal, whatever he said. It had to be perfect. The coverage was good. Sometimes as an athlete, you know, you can do everything right. You can't play any coverage better than that, and the other guy's just a little better on that play.
Oregon goes into Iowa City and takes down the 20th ranked Hawkeyes. And I'm sure fans of Oregon and even Dan Lanning use this as fuel. He uses it all the time, that they were ranked 9th in the initial college football playoff rankings. Certainly will rise up the rankings. What did this win mean for the program and ultimately their chances here in the college football playoff as we wait to hear the rankings on Tuesday?
So I think this year's football team has a lot to do with last year's team. Remember, that team went undefeated, won the Big Ten championship, and then because of the seeding a year ago, had to match up against Ohio State and beat them a second time. This team, they lost 10 draft picks this 2025. Their top 6 receivers, their quarterback, they had to completely reload, and then they come into this game and lose 3 of their top receivers, their right tackle, and they're going to get a bully ball physical football game in the weather. And Dan Lanning put his team together and was ready for it and succeeded. I thought they were brilliant all game. The one drive that Iowa put on in the second half was a masterpiece. Got to give Gronowski credit. He's a winner. He showed why in that drive. But all in all, they gave Oregon a chance to come back. One more punch, and Oregon landed it.
Yeah, that was a treat of a football game, a massive win for Oregon as they go into Iowa City and get the victory. Gary Danielson here with us on CBS Sports HQ. Gary, appreciate the time as always.
Thank you.
What a game that was. Man, the ending, that's just incredible. Dan Lanning going into Kinnick Stadium, getting it done. This was his 50th game as Oregon head coach. He's the 7th FBS head coach in the past 50 years to win 43 of his first 50 career games. And this was essentially a must-win for them, right? Like, you don't want to be a 2-loss team and leave things up to the committee because there's a lot of 2-loss teams. And Oregon improves to 8-1. And again, they have won 11 straight road games, the longest active streak in FBS. Time now for the player of the game, presented by Belfort Property Restoration. Cardale, go your way first here. Who's your player of the game? Oregon and Iowa. You're going to go the way of the Ducks because what a victory that was.
Yeah, you know what? Up until that last drive, it was Mark Gronowski for me for Iowa Hawkeyes, but Noah Whittington for the Ducks. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay if you said Ducks. So I know where your head is.
Yeah,
Okay.
for the Oregon Ducks in this situation. And when the pass game couldn't get things going, especially being short-ended with your playmakers going into Iowa City, you got to lean on the running game a little bit more, and that's what they did. Over 100 yards on the ground, and he was able to get some of those tough, hard-nosed yards, especially when your Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback, Dante Moore, didn't have as many weapons as you used to going into this game when didn't play his best game, 1 interception, no touchdowns. You got to be able to win in other ways than they did on the ground.
Yeah, I'm going to echo Cardale because you come into this game with backup right tackle, no Kenny Sadiq, no Decorian Moore. You're in a hostile road environment. It's yucky, it's nasty, it's gross out there.
I love it.
You know you're going to have to be in a classic Big Ten rock fight. Cardale, those Oregon Ducks look like they can hang in the Big Ten, playing a little Midwest football, huh?
You know what? I think so. I think the second year in a row they are proving that, running the table last year in the Big Ten, coming up as a Big Ten champs, beating Penn State in another tough environment. And Lucas Oil Stadium was almost like a home game for Penn State. This team is battle-tested, and they're going to be fun to watch as the season continues to go.
And I was just going to say, the way that they have come back from that disappointment that they suffered, right, earlier this season at home against Indiana, to battle back, to kind of rejigger some stuff on offense, still come out and be physical enough to win a game like this when they were out-physicaled against Indiana a couple weeks ago at home. They come out and they deliver the decisive knockout blow in this game.
Do you think that they jump Texas Tech in the latest college football playoff rankings come Tuesday?
They won't.
Do they move up to 7?
They won't jump Texas Tech.
Okay.
Because Texas Tech will obviously have a great ranked win
over BYU.
Against BYU, who was ranked 7th. So they won't jump Texas Tech. They will be right behind Texas
One
Tech.
spot, they're going to move up to 8.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Oregon with a massive road win at Iowa City. Much more ahead here on CBS Sports HQ, our Big Ten CBS Game of the Week. And Oregon got a couple of tough games left. At home against Minnesota, but a couple of ranked games right now. Home against USC, and then on the road at Washington in a rivalry matchup. Oregon's right there for the taking. Look, they still have a chance at playing for the Big Ten title. Somebody could trip up. Something could happen here. So Oregon could find itself back in the Big Ten championship for the 2nd year in a row.